Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name's Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I would start investing if I was starting again from scratch in 2024. And I'm also going to delete all my contacts, all my ability to raise money, everything that I currently have as part of my journey so far, if you like, to imagine that I was back being 25-year-old Mark with a job. How would I actually get started and how would I guarantee myself from 25 to 35 to becoming a millionaire? So if you want to hear about that journey, stay tuned. If you like this sort of video, give it a big like. It really does help me out on the algorithm and I appreciate every single person who does. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not consider subscribing? Until I get to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm on about 6,000 now, I'm doing free one-to-one consultation calls. You can talk to me about anything you want. We'll link up on Zoom. We'll have a good chat. I want to build a really firm relationship with my subscribers so that you guys and me, we can connect and join this journey together. So without any more fluff or intro, let's get into the video of how I would get started. And I'm going to pretend that I am 25-year-old Mark and I was back working in recruitment, earning 40, 50,000 pounds a year, something like that. And I'm going to tell you how I would get started. Now, the very first thing I would do, and I didn't do this when I was 25, is I wouldn't go out as much as I did. I would make sure there was a big spread between my income and my expenses. So if I had an income of about £3,000 a month, I would want to make sure that I'm putting away at least half of it. At least. If I'm a single guy, 25, I've got no kids, I've got no dependents, there's no reason that I should be spending all of my salary. The only reason I'd be doing it is that I'm spending on stuff that I want, not stuff that I need. So back then I was living in shared accommodation, so it would be no surprise to hear that I would go back to living in shared accommodation. I would make sure that my rent payment was fairly low. I would make sure that I'm in the opportunity zone so that job opportunities and growth opportunities were around me. And I would make sure that I had a plan to start investing. And the first thing that I would set myself up on an investment platform would be a LISA. And the reason I would do that is the government gives me 25% as long as I use it towards my first house. And you've got it, guys. I'm going to be buying a house pretty quickly. If anything, I might be taking on a second job in order to speed that up even quicker. So if I'm earning £3,000 on my day job, what can I do at the weekends in order to earn more money? I mean, I own a taxi company at the moment. I know if I just drove a taxi on Friday and Saturday night, I could add another £300 to £400 a week to my income. That's another £1,500 a month. That's £3,000 a month that can now be being invested. Okay, we've got to knock off some tax, but it's still going to be £2,500 a month, right? That's a decent chunk going into my investment, into my LISA. I'm going to hit my allowance very quickly. The government's going to give me another £1,000. So I'm going to get that set up and I'm going to work a 12-month plan on this. I'm going to be like, what's the biggest deposit I can get together in 12 months? And what's the biggest amount of money that I can earn in 1 year so that my mortgageability, when it comes to the end of a year, is as high as possible? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that money and hopefully I'll have 30, 40,000 pounds, something like that saved. £2,500 a month would be 30. If I can do a bit more, I can get to 40. And then I'm going to buy as much house as I possibly can. Leveraged up with a mortgage as much as I possibly can. As many rooms as I possibly can. Because I'm going to become the landlord. I'm going to live in shared accommodation, but I'm going to be the landlord now. And I'm going to rent out those rooms. So let's give some examples. Let's give some real world examples. If I was living in Dividend, for example, which is a town that I'm from, I could buy a 3-bedroom house for about £350,000. Now, would I be able to do that with my mortgageability? I don't know. I'd have a £40,000 deposit. So I'd have over 10%. I'd be able to borrow about 5 times my earnings. So I'd be able to borrow 250. I'd be about 300,000 I could get to. What could I get for 300,000? You know what? Let's have a look and see what we could get. And without too much hassle, I've got myself into a 3-bed. So as you can see by the images, it's not the cheapest 3-bed out there. There are much cheaper. What I have got with this is a lot of square foot. I've had a quick look at the floor plan. You can see it up there. There's no question we can get that living room to become another bedroom. And by doing that, we're still going to have some community space with the dining area, but we're going to be able to have that 4th bedroom, which means that I'm going to be able to rent out 3 rooms, not just 2. And that's going to provide me with an income in Didcot of about £650 per room. So £650 per room is going to give me an income on 3 rooms of nearly £2,000 a month. Now, because I live in there, the first one's going to be a lodger. So £7,000 completely tax-free. The rest of it I'm going to have to pay tax on, but that's absolutely fine. But I am going to be able to generate another £2,000 a month straight away just by renting out those rooms. And that's gonna cover my mortgage, my bills, probably absolutely everything. And guess what? I'm gonna get going on property number 2. So this is how I'm really gonna start my property business, my property journey. I'm going to borrow as much money as I possibly can against this property, buy as much house as I possibly can. And maybe I can't buy that 351, but there was plenty around the 300 mark, and there'll be something I can do to move a layout about so that I can get that 4th bedroom and I can get that extra income. What I wouldn't do is buy a nice sparkly brand new flat or a small 3-bedroom house where I couldn't rent out the bedrooms. I would much rather look at other areas. I know, for example, Didcot rents out well, but just down the road we've got Newbury. So Newbury, I know I could get a 3-bedroom house. I know I could get a big enough one that I would be able to rent out all the bedrooms. The rent will be a little bit less, maybe 600 a room, but I'm gonna then be able to generate close to that £2,000 a month to cover all of my bills. And then I'm gonna get to work again, and I'm gonna go to earn as much as I possibly can. But this time, I'm not gonna buy where I live. I'm gonna buy something up north. So my target will be to get about £25,000 to £30,000. And at that point, I've got my proof of deposit, and I'm gonna be able to buy something for about £120,000, probably up in Sheffield. And I'm gonna look for the best possible deal I can get. So I want something that's worth 130 to 140 that I can buy for 120. And I'm gonna put in offers and I'm gonna try and make 10 to 20 grand when I buy the property. And then I know in a couple of years when I refinance that property, I've got some equity baked in. And because I've got this limited pot of money, I'm only saving this 2.5 grand a month. It's not a huge amount of money to be saving. So I've got this limited pot. And because of that, I'm gonna have to make sure it goes as far as I possibly can. And the way I'm gonna do that is by negotiating hard. So it might take me 3 months to buy that house, absolutely fine. But I'm gonna make 10 to 20,000 pounds when I do. And then I'm gonna do it again. And then I'm gonna do it again, and then I'm gonna do it again. And guess what? In 2 years, I'm gonna have maybe 3 properties. I'm gonna have the first one that I bought, and maybe a couple of extra rentals, and then my first one's gonna come round to remortgage. And when it does, if I've got enough movement in it, let's say for example, it's gone up in value by another 10%, and my salary allows it to, then I can pull £35,000 out of that, and I can go again straight away. Then property 2, a year later, I've already know that I banked 10 to 20,000 pounds in equity when I bought it. Let's say it's gone up by 10%, I've got another 12,000. I'm pulling another 20,000 pounds out of that, I'm going again. And this is the snowball of wealth. This is how it really happened for me. I bought my first house, I rented out my spare rooms, I bought my next house, I bought my next one, I refinanced the first one, and then we just really got going. And if it wasn't for COVID, I'd probably have about 30, 40 houses now. And it was only that COVID hit my main business so hard because it was a taxi business. Stay at home, don't go out, don't do anything, right? Taxi business. We lost 90% of our revenue overnight. Nothing we could do about it, nothing we could plan for it. My income went from reasonable to low, to nothing, to pretty much nothing. I went from a personal big profit to a personal loss every single month. But if that hadn't happened, then there's no question in my mind. My snowball was rolling down the hill at such pace that we would have been buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. So guys, that's how I would get started. And it wouldn't matter if I had a job. It wouldn't matter what the job was. If I worked in McDonald's, I'd just get 2. Because if you work in McDonald's at £11.50 an hour, do 40 hours there, then you go and work at Domino's Pizza for another 20 hours, you're earning over £30,000 a year. You're doing 60 hours at £11.65. Let's have a look. What does that work out at? 60 hours, £11.65, times that by 52, £36,000. £3,000 a month. There's no question in my mind with £3,000 a month, which is about 2.5 after tax, I'm gonna be able to invest at least 1.5. If I'm 25 years old, I've got no major commitments, I've got no family, got no kids, I'm gonna be able to invest at 1,500 quid a month. And again, maybe I have a slightly smaller base to start with. Maybe I'm only getting a 2-bedroom flat. Would you believe it? My camera ran out of battery. So I can't remember exactly where I was. My point was, no matter what you're earning, no matter what the job is, there is no question in my mind, if it's a priority for you, if it's important to you, you can become wealthy, you can become an investor. Now guys, leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from all of you. Can you let me know what your thoughts are on this strategy, on what I'm proposing, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers for watching, guys.